I'm AJ Yawn. I'm the founder and CEO of Bytechek.
Hey, it's Kellen. And today on Diversified Game, I have some young talent. I say young because, the days go and you start seeing, gray hairs kicking here and there. And then you start looking at people saying, man, did they just come out of high school or college? So AJ Yawn here is going to give us the game and talk about, everything that he's doing with his company. He has got some venture funding. And, he had some prominent people at a conference where I met him at for the Miami-Dade Chamber, talking about him and his company and how, they might have given him some millions or a million, but that really some of his other counterparts get more than that. A million is nothing to sneeze at. But AJ is on to the 100 million until he gets to the billion beyond stage. So AJ, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm well, Kellen. I'm happy to be on the show and glad we finally got a chance to record this. I'm excited for the conversation.
Oh, yes. I'm excited. And just give the people the game on when did it start? How did it start for your company? And is this even the first company that you have done?
Yeah, I would say it's the first real company I've done. I've had some other pursuits growing up. I started a clothing line in college that did pretty well, but ended up falling apart. And as a kid, I had a bunch of entrepreneurial pursuits to make money or just lead up things that I always wanted to be the organizer or the leader of events and different initiatives amongst my friends and stuff. So this would be the first real one where, we're making real money and working directly with companies. And from the idea and kind of my start in this journey, I started in the cybersecurity profession when I was in the U.S. Army as an Army officer for 6 years. Ended up earning the rank of captain, did a whole lot of cyber stuff there in the military. And that's what really exposed me to this industry and got me really interested in what was going on. And then when I decided to get out, I landed at a large security compliance consulting firm. And as soon as I got there, I realized there's a huge opportunity to bring software to a very outdated and manual industry where people are just doing things in a really slow and not efficient manner. So I decided, I was going to start a company to solve this problem, but I knew I didn't know enough about the business. I didn't know enough about how to grow. So I was just like, let me put my head down and learn and grow as fast as I can, get promoted, learn all there is I can about the business. And when I felt comfortable that I had all the skills and knowledge that I needed, I jumped out and made the decision in 2020 to build Bytechek, which is a software platform that helps companies prove that they're secure to other companies. And a big reason why I felt confident to do it in the middle of a pandemic is because I had the experience and the expertise. I spent years doing this stuff that I'm building now. So I know exactly the problem we're solving. I know the customers and the pain that they feel and from both sides of the table. So it gave me the confidence to go out and solve the problem because I lived and breathed it for years.
And somebody's out there saying, man, he was an Army officer killing. You called him young. Yeah, man, black don't crack if you don't smoke it. Take care of it. So, this is it's a great thing. Now, to do a company like this, this is not your normal, hey, I want to be a singer, a rapper, even a typical investor, the sexy stuff. Sometimes people say, ooh, ah, and they've seen others who look like them who've done it. So I'm sure when you started this and you told your family and friends, I'm sure they all applauded, handed out their checkbooks and said, oh yeah, we know what you're talking about. SOC2, yeah, compliance, yeah, sure. Everybody was, giving you a round of applause and giving you money, correct? That they all supported you, correct?
No chance. I don't know if most of my close friends actually even know what my company does, or my close family, at its core, they know I'm running the company. It's in cyberspace, but I don't think they actually know what we do. And I would say most of my family thought I was crazy when I said I was going to do this, because I left the job making more money than I ever made in my life, and more money than anybody in our family has ever made in our life. Generations. I was very well paid and doing very well, and people saw that I was able to take care of a lot of my family. And I was like, yeah, guys, I think I'm going to quit this. I think I'm going to go ahead and quit this well-paying job, and I'm going to go start my own thing. And they're like, wait a second. Why would you do that? What's going on here? Why would you leave something that you're making all this money, do all these things, travel, work from home, all this all this stuff before working from home became normal. I was working at the crib, and I was like, because I think I can, making significant amount of money over $250,000 a year is great, but I want to make hundreds of millions of dollars. I want to change hundreds and thousands of people's lives. And there was no way I was going to do that by being a part of a corporate machine. And there's also no way I could find out if I could do this by being a part of a corporate machine. So I was ready to take the chance. And it wasn't a thing where people were running out to hand me money. I was fortunate that one of my close friends that I played basketball with at Florida State University, he did some great things in the NBA and now plays in the EuroLeague overseas. And he made an initial angel investment in the company to get us started. But I didn't go from, I was making a ton of money. I'll kind of give an anecdote of the type of sacrifice it took me to start this. In 2020, when I started the company, I was working at the prior company before Bytechek for 2 months, for January and February. And I was working at Bytechek the rest of the year from March to December. I made more money in those 2 months at that company than I made the rest of the year at Bytechek in 10 months. And that's the amount of pay cut that I had to take to get this thing off the ground. But it was worth it. As I sit here at this stage, and, I'm not necessarily rich by any stretch of the imagination yet. That's the plan, but it was definitely worth the sacrifice.
And sacrifice is something that, it's interesting because you're Florida State, and I was going to get into you being an athlete, D1 athlete at that. Sometimes, athletes growing up right now, there's a boy in middle school or younger, and his whole family's lifting him up. He's going to be our ticket out, right? And everyone's lifting him up until he gets to the college area, and they say, oh, he's average. He might not go all the way, so I can go buy my Bentley. And so then your ego, it messes with you. But the fact that you playing basketball got you your first angel investor, but also that I say humbled yourself. Thank you for your service. Went to the military just so without those things, you don't have this company. You're not there. So you guys, it's like the process. You got to respect it, as all these books talk about. Can you talk about how everything gets connected and just how you think about, like, whoa, if I would have said Navy instead of Army, or, or if I, how that all works. It's just crazy when you look back in hindsight.
Yeah, when you look back in hindsight, it does seem crazy. And then what I've done over the last 2 years is realize that when you're going through things that feel pretty bad at the time, where you're feeling like, man, like this is not what I wanted, this is not what I was hoping for, chances are, if you just push through that little phase of doubt that you have, there is something really, really cool on the other end. Because your life was setting you up to see, are you willing to go through this to get to where you're trying to go to? And I read one of the, everybody always asks me, like, what books do I recommend someone to read? And the number one book I always recommend is called Obstacle is the Way. And if you kind of look at the story of my life, of how I ended up here at Florida State, I broke both ankles, which is why I joined the military. I joined the military to pay for school because I was no longer able to have sports cover my out-of-state tuition because I grew up in Southern California. And I joined the military, but then I ended up saying, you know what, this isn't the end of my story. Like, I came here to play basketball, so let me fight to get back on the team. And I fought to get back on the team, ended up meeting Chris, who is our angel investor and one of my closest friends now. By doing that. But then I went to the Army and got cyber experience. And the way that I kind of got into that was just by making some things happen there in the early days of it. And then when I was in the Army, I performed really well. I was the number one ranked officer in my battalion. And then I tried to go and be a lawyer in the Army, got declined. I tried to go do something else after that, got declined again. And the Army kept saying, no, this is not something. And so I took those, again, obstacle is the way, those no's. It's like, you know what am I looking for? I'm looking for quality of life. I'm looking for freedom. I'm looking for being able to get paid well and spend a lot of time with my family. It looks like I can do that in the tech industry. It looks like I can do that if I get out of the Army and do it in tech. So I started focusing all in on that. And there's just so many instances of my life where if I would have let the no's stop me from pursuing what my ultimate end goal was, I know there's no chance I would be here. But I look at no's as opportunities. No's tell me that I'm on to something, and I just got to keep pushing until I find that door that is going to open. And that's just life in general. It helps me out a lot as an entrepreneur because there's one thing that's guaranteed in this journey is you get told no a lot. I mean, you get told no a whole lot. And I got told no a whole lot in my life leading up to this point. So I'm pretty comfortable with being told no and pretty comfortable with losing. And I think I've seen that there's so many experiences in life that build on it that you have to treat every single experience as the most important thing in your life, regardless of the outcome. I didn't, every D1 college athlete wants to make it to the professionals, but I was not good enough to make it to the NBA. But that doesn't mean that experience, I didn't give my all and I didn't get the most out of being a Division I college athlete, where now I have long lasting relationships for the rest of my life with some really great people. And the same thing I did throughout my entire career.
I love it. I love it. And, I like to say the no's are just not right now. And people say, you can see that in different books, but I learned it as a young man and you're dating and women say no. You say, okay, no. But if you keep dating, you find out later down the line, whatever you were seeking, you can get. Just keep on dating, keep on pushing. So the no is just not right now, because you can't just take it, right? In dating or in life. You wish, in life you could, but in dating, y'all, because I could hear a man on there, and Kellen said, no. Kellen ain't telling you, pressure anybody to do anything. Just keep on dating, keep on pushing. It's worth the wait. So, with the first investment that you got, like, where does your mind go? And you're like, okay, my friend invested in me, but I know I'm going to need more money. Do you get more anxious? Do you get more excited? Do you get more greedy and say, this it's as easy as this? I just got to keep on pushing and more people will give me money?
No, not really, actually. So we raised that 500K from him in March of 2020, and we didn't raise again. I raised 3 million last November, so about 18 months later, we raised money. And my focus once we got that 500K was like, I got to make sure that this investment, he gets an ROI on it. Like it turns into something where the business is worth something at the end of this. So I just put my heads down and was like, let's build. Let me build an actual product that people are using and people are paying for, because I knew I'm a Black founder. I don't have a typical background. I'm not a software engineer by trade. I didn't go to the Ivy League schools. I didn't come from the big tech software industry. So getting traditional VC investment was going to be difficult no matter what. Definitely difficult if I'm just coming to folks with an idea. Now, if I'm coming with revenue, I'm coming with the product, I'm coming with actual traction, there's gonna be a different conversation. So I was focused after that initial investment on just putting my head down and trying to build a company to be valuable when the time comes. And then once last year came around to raise this next round of funding, it really came down to the fact that I could have kept building the company without raising money, but it would have probably been a multi-million-dollar company, which is great. My goal is to build $1 billion company. To build $1 billion company, you got to raise some money. You got to raise some venture capital and get some fuel in here to be able to hire, be able to grow and do things at scale. And I knew that I had to decide, what are your goals? What do you want to do? You want to build $1 billion company? You want to build a multi-billion dollar company? If you want to build $1 billion company, that's the path you got to go down. And that's what we ended up doing and executing on. It's just, we wanted to build something that is going to be in the B's and not the M's. And to do that, you had to raise venture capital. So, but it was, once I got that initial investment, I felt pressure because it's my dog, and then somebody that I really am close with and value our relationship. But also felt empowered to go out there and do what I think I was put on this earth to do, and to build something special.
And that's not easy, because athletes, especially folks who go pro, NFL for sure, they get drafted, they bring them in the back room, put the Men in Black scanner on them, everybody around you is going to be asking for money. And NBA, they're similar meetings, so it's not easy for your friend to give you that money, because if he doesn't get his money back, and if he ever goes broke, people are like, well, where did your money go? And it's like, oh, I gave it to my friend. Typical story, right? But you got to give, and you got to give to live, or there's no real reward. Now, when you got this money, and you said, you didn't come from the Ivy League, but you went to school. You have a master's from Georgetown.
Yeah.
And you went to the military. People are, hold on. My recruiter just told me once I come out, there's veteran funding for me, or veteran ventures in different places that want to give military veterans money for their businesses. Can you talk about if you've reached out to any of those places, and not by name, but is it just that easy? Because, a recruiter will say anything to get you signed the dotted line.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not that easy at all. What I found is that a lot of those folks that have that type of focus have some ridiculous gates and hurdles for you to jump through to even get the investment, where sometimes it doesn't even make it worth it for you to go to them. And I'll give an anecdote of when I was raising my last round, I met with the fund, and their thesis was that they invest in college athletes and they invest in former Army officers. And I was like, cool, perfect. This is going to be easy. I knew this was going to be super easy, raising money. Just find people that invest in things that you do and who you are. And I was like, bet I got this. They ended up passing and said, because I didn't fit their thesis. And I was like, wow, like I'm literally a former college athlete. I'm literally a former Army officer. So I went to go look at their portfolio, and it's all old white dudes. So the thesis that I didn't fit had nothing to do with my experience, had nothing to do with being a veteran, and nothing to do with being a former athlete. It's less than 1% of, or 2% of it, less than 2% of venture capital goes to minority founders. So it's not that easy. I'll say that. I've probably collected well over 200 no's from VCs on the path of raising venture capital, well over 200, maybe closer to 300 on this path. And that's from a lot of veteran focused funds. That's from a lot of minority focused funds, from a lot of people that invest in people that look like me, but just, or my background, but just didn't find, that the business was something viable to invest in. So similar to, what people hear about when they're getting in the military, oh, you're a vet, you'll just get a job. Not true either. No one out here is giving you participation trophies just for being a veteran. You have to own it. You have to own the entire process and journey yourself, and you have to put the work in. And being a veteran and having that experience and being a college athlete helps me out tremendously in my current role, and the experience has helped me, but it was not a golden ticket. Has not necessarily resulted in anything guaranteed, but the leadership experiences, the just day-to-day experiences that I've had 100% have been valuable.
And do you think it's because, if you were trying to, Cardi B this up, or how the Democrats just use some ridiculous ad talking about, no vote, no this. If you were to make this more sexy, because this is tech, this is cybersecurity, it's something that, your end users don't get anyway. They're like, I got something from Norton, or I got some, request that came through on Bitdefender, but I didn't want to spend the money because I don't feel like I have anything to protect until they get hacked, right? Do you think it's because it's the space that it's in and the masses don't really fully understand cybersecurity?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty niche. It's not just that it's cybersecurity, which is just in and of itself. Most consumers are like, that sounds scary. I don't, and we don't sell to consumers. So like, I'm not selling my product to an end user. I'm selling it to other businesses that are multi-million-dollar businesses, because what we do is pretty expensive. So you got to have, a lot of money in the bank to do what we do. So not only is it cybersecurity, I'm not selling directly to consumers. I'm selling to companies that need this service. And then what we do for those companies is even niche in itself and within cybersecurity. So it's not even the sexy part of cybersecurity of like handling threats and like seeing all of these alerts coming through. It's not any of that. So like what we do is really boring. Our tagline is make compliance suck less, because compliance sucks. It's a terrible process for businesses. And it's not something that will ever be cool, will ever be something that people are like, talking about with their friends over dinner. It's not that thing. But I'm a fan of unsexy technology and unsexy businesses because what we are doing is we are solving a problem, a really important problem. And in business, you can be a vitamin or you can be a painkiller. A vitamin people take to prevent something, and they might forget, they might remember, they'll do it every once in a while. And it's not a product that, it's not a thing that you need every day. A painkiller though, you wake up and your back hurts, you're gonna go get that ibuprofen. We're that ibuprofen. Like we're the thing that you better take, or you are going to feel this pain. And regardless of if it's cool or not, people need this and they're spending tens of thousands of dollars. And I think the reason VC The space and the VC space in general, most founders, I think that they get wrong, and I got it wrong when I first started raising last year, is you just try to talk to every VC. Some VCs only invest in consumers, consumer products, which we are not. So that is a waste of a conversation. Some VCs invest in business to business B2B companies like we are, but only in finance sector, or only in healthcare sector, or only in the retail sector. So I had to find who invests in B2B, either traditional, just general SaaS that serves other businesses, or invest in B2B cybersecurity, because that focus is the people that we can actually work with. Yeah, so I think it's because we're niche, but it's also just the nature of the VC space in general. Like VCs, actually, most VCs have a really specific focus of what they invest in, and the first thing any founder should do that's going out and raising money is create a list of people that invest in the thing that you're doing. Because that's more important than if they invest in minorities or whatever demographic you find yourself in. What's most important is, does this VC actually invest in what you do? Because if not, you'll spend the entire call explaining what you do versus explaining the business and why this is a good business. You don't want to be teaching them about the problem you're solving, about the why behind your tool. You want to talk to people that understand the why, and they want to know, like, how is your product going to help solve this problem that I'm very familiar with?
Yeah, and that's tricky, because I remember working for a particular tech company in Seattle, and okay, you're HIPAA compliant, you're all of that, security, but when you tell people who might not get they might not get technology, especially when going overseas, trying to tell people your bank needs this in case it gets hacked. Well, why would we get hacked? And and we have this, that. No, but you don't have, if this goes down, what happens? You could have something that backs it up. And trying to get that conversation to people, sometimes when they're not tech savvy or don't have good tech savvy, you can be as tech savvy as you want, be a dang expert. You don't understand, the future, or you just say, hey, this might stop me from having a job. They might not need me if, I use you, which is a terrible way of thinking. Now, you're doing this, it's still new, it's still fresh, vibrant. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you want to be?
I think in the next 5 to 10 years, Bytechek will for sure be $1 billion company, whether that's $1 billion company that's still running or $1 billion company that somebody has decided to spend a lot of money on. But I think we'll still be solving a really important problem for companies, because security and compliance are long-term problems. For me personally, I hope 5 years from now that I have just grown tremendously. I hope to not even recognize that person. I hope that I'm more mindful. I hope that I'm a better father, a better husband. I just hope that I am better all around, and have improved myself personally, aside from the professional side of the house, and continue to tap into who I am as an individual, and spending more of my time giving back to others, and finding ways to inspire and motivate others. But I think, I'm one of the things you should never do on the startup journey is assume that it's going to end soon. I expect that I'm going to be on this ride for a while, and it's going to be a long journey. But the goal again is going to be that we are $1 billion company, and I don't want to stop until we get there. And that takes time. Most companies, it takes about 7 years for them to even get to that point. I think I'm in year 2. I want to say 2 years and some change. So I got at least 5 years left on that 5 to 10 year plan of doing this. And we'll see how much longer after that. But yeah, for me, it's about growth, growth for the business, growth for me personally, hopefully growth for my family as well. And just being a better, more refined version of myself. I'll be, you called me a young man earlier, which I appreciate. In 5 years, I'll be 39. So creeping up on turning 40, and I had a goal a while ago that I was going to retire at 40. So we'll see how close I am to that in 5 years.
Well, before I get to my other question, and once I just passed 40, and I'm 41. You think about that one day. Okay, I'm going to retire before then, so I can say this. I did that at like 24. I told somebody, I said, I'm retired. I said, I think I got it. I think I broke the game enough, put it back together. I'm good, right? And I was so wrong, because you can be young and foolish, right? Yeah. Thinking that this money can last forever. But the thing, what would you do for the rest of your life? You're probably like me, where you're going to be working until you leave here, because you're going to be creative and creating. And what else would you do if you retired at 40? You'd be so bored. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I people tell me that often, but I'm a guy that I enjoy solitude. I enjoy reading. I enjoy peace. I enjoy spending time with my children. I have a 6-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter, so they'll be continuing to grow. And I don't think I'll do nothing. So I want to retire when I have the finances to live a really great life as a retired individual. So where I can spend a lot of time on the water, I can scuba dive a lot, I can golf a whole lot, I can travel a whole lot. And I think one of the things that I would do is angel invest and try to be the first check for Black founders and help motivate them and spend time with them, but do it on my time. And I think that's when I think about retirement, it's not for me not working. It's being free of my schedule. It's where I control
Ah,
every single aspect of my calendar. And even now, as a founder, I do not control every aspect of my calendar. I have speaking engagements, I have flights I got to get on, I got calls with customers, employees, all of the things that like I can't just wake up and say, you know what, I'm not doing anything today. I'm gonna head to the beach. I can't do that right now. But when I think about retirement, it's like I could sit in front of my computer and work all day and do some stuff and put out content, whatever it may be, or I could do nothing. And I want that freedom of my schedule. And to me, that's retirement is where my schedule is completely 100% in my control. And there's not any responsibilities outside of the things that I want to do.
you and I can have a deeper conversation offline because really what you're talking about is just being able to hire more and have a system to where, I remember when Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week came out, changed my life because I was like, this is what I'm going to do. You're crazy, Kellen. I'm going to do what I want to do. I want my family to be able to, if we want to travel every month, even if it's just down the street, that's what we want to do, right? But we're going to talk deeper because I might have something that, well, you'll be like, Kellen, how you wait, hold on. Take my kids out of school, hire a teacher virtually. We're gonna get into that, but I want to go somewhere else because. And you talk about not being recognizable in 5 years. I thought about the Jackson family and how everyone has their face and everything done. That's when you made it, folks. You get the chest cleanse the Jacksons all have and the noses. I like my big full nose, so I don't know I can't do that with that. But that is good game. And tell the people, success always comes back with giving. And so what is a community give back that you're doing or one that you plan on doing in the future?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I do consistently is I mentor young Black folks in cybersecurity, people that are trying to break in or people that are trying to grow their careers. And I've been fortunate that I've had some success stories where I've been able to take someone trying to break into this field and now they're a VP of security engineering at a large bank and making more money than they've ever imagined in their life. And I think tech and cybersecurity specifically has the power to change generations. You can truly change the trajectory of someone's last name by getting them in this field and the benefits that it happens. And I'm big on that. The other thing that I do is I spent a lot of time at local schools here in Miami and South Florida, just trying to be present, like you said, showing young kids that there's an option out there aside from sports, aside from the streets, aside from being a lawyer, a doctor, where you can wear the cool shoes, have chains, wear the t-shirts, and like still make a ton of money and take care of your family. And you can do it through tech and try to do that. And, one of my initiatives that I have an idea of that I'm going to build once we get done here with Bytechek is I grew up in Southern California and didn't know a ton about HBCUs growing up there. Didn't have a ton of representation about HBCUs, didn't have a ton of representation about fraternities or sororities or any of the things that kind of make up Black culture here in the South, especially in the college scene. And there's a bunch of people that I know that went through Teach for America, where they went and did the Teach for America thing, where they went and taught in inner city schools around the country and got their loans paid back and all of that. And one of the things that I thought was wrong with that model is it sent people from, you grew up in Southern California, you go teach in Baltimore. As much as you have the desire to want to help the younger generation, you're not connected to that community. You don't have a connection to that community. You're just in another city, you're visiting, they're there for 2 years, you're going to leave. I think Teach for America should send people back to the cities and counties that they grew up in. So that people can see someone that looks like them, that grew up in them, that has made it and is coming back to give back to their community, and you start to see that representation. And what I want to do is create Teach for Black America, where we have folks come from HBCUs that are from California, from Portland, from Seattle, and from these West Coast cities that don't have that type of culture. come back and teach in their local cities and local communities to show young Black kids there's a place that you can go to where being Black is celebrated. There's a place that you can go to, and I didn't even go to an HBCU. I went to Florida State, but FAMU's across the tracks and spent a lot of time there, and I just was fascinated and not necessarily regret, because I enjoyed my time. I enjoyed everything that happened at Florida State, but I sometimes I think about, man, it would have been really fun to go to an HBCU, and I wish I would have known about it. I wish I would have known more about HBCU. So I do want to start a nonprofit that helps encourage kids to go back and go to HBCUs, have some scholarships there, have some abilities for them to have their school paid for and all of that to give back to the community. And it's another one of those things where I think in our community specifically, kids narrow the opportunities. They narrow themselves as far as what's possible. It's really boils down to, like you said, everybody's putting their faith in little Johnny making it in basketball or baseball. Or there's just that one smart kid that's going to go be a lawyer. And it's like, not everybody wants to go be a lawyer. Not everybody wants to go to 7-8 years of college. There's so many other ways to go out there and have a long sustaining career, that we need more people that look like us in front of kids, showing them these different career paths, showing them these different career fields. And that's the big part of like what I think I'm going to do from a giving back perspective, is just continue to be a representative to these younger kids that there's another option. There's another way that you can do this.
And I'm so glad you said that, because I can't really ask you what was more valuable, military or school, because we talked earlier how both and those connections, and I say it for myself too, without, all of the schooling and the different things that you do for life, you don't get the person you have now. I don't have my wife that I have now. If I would have left early, right? And I had to stay at the Harvard of the South, Grambling State University, and I had to stay there and do the master's. One, because my mother said so. Two, because I was like, I met the love of my life. I don't want to leave. So I definitely get that. But if you do have a 14-year-old or 17-year-old out there, what would you tell them about going to school versus going to the military? Should they do one first and the other, just based on your experience and what you've seen?
I think it's up to their level of maturity and their financial situation, to be quite honest. If going into college fresh out of high school is going to put you into crippling debt, or put your family into crippling debt, and you're going to struggle while you're there, I would say go to the military first, serve 4 years, get your GI Bill, and get out, and you have your school paid for, and then you can get paid to go to school when you get out. And make a ton of money by just being in school. You'll be 22 years old, so you'll still be right there in that age bracket of folks that are there in school. But I think the military is not for everyone, and I'm not going to sit here and try to convince everyone to go to the military. You have to be willing to kind of fit into a system. You have to be willing to get screamed at a little bit, and deal with tough situations. I don't think people are deploying as much as they were 10 years ago when I was in, and we were deploying a lot, so maybe not as many deployments as back then, but it's not easy. It's tough, and you're away from family a lot. You got to sleep outside. You got to sleep on the floor. Like it's not all glamour and glitz, putting the uniform on. You actually have to work to earn that uniform and be part of the 2% of people that serve. So I would say it's up to the person and their goals in life. But what I would say, if you're going to go to college, go leave your nest egg, leave your immediate city, get away from mom and dad. Like you got to move away a little bit to grow. You got to experience some of life without having that safety net right behind you where you can, and I'm not saying people got to go across the country like I did from California to Florida. You can go up the road, but make it a little bit of a hassle for mom to come and save you. It might be a 2-hour, 3-hour drive, so that you have to figure some stuff out on your own. And that experience of being by yourself and just having to figure some stuff out without having that's how you grow up in that 18 to 22-year-old time frame, is you got to stare some stuff in the eyes and figure some things out. And to me that's the most valuable experience about college. It's the lessons you learn while you're there in that environment versus like the schooling. The schooling is great and it's going to help you get to a means to an end, but in your career you're going to learn everything all over again, and you're going to go get a master's and learn some more stuff. So you'll always be learning, but it's really about the experience. And for me, the experience that I had was amplified and that much more impactful because I was so far from home, because I just had to figure out so much on my own that it forced me to grow up really quickly, forced me to mature really quickly, forced me to learn about the real world really, really quickly. Because I couldn't run to mom's house, I couldn't run to my dad's house. I had to, look around, and I had nothing but 18-year-olds around me as well. And we all are figuring it out together. So I think people often get caught up in I want to go to the best school with the best program in this X, Y, and Z. And it's like, you're going to have to put the work in to get a really good job, regardless of what school you go to. If you go to Harvard, you're not guaranteed a job. You're going to have to go apply. You're going to have to interview. You're going to have to do all of these things. You're going to have to learn the material. What I would focus on is, where are you going to have the best experience for 4 years? Where are you going to grow the most? Where are you going to have the most fun? College is the best time of your life. Like, don't try to grow up too fast and become a professional in college. You should be having fun. You should be enjoying that experience. And I think, going away from home and figuring that stuff out is best. And then, the debate of military versus college, I would never tell anybody blanket to join the military, and I would never tell anybody blanket to go to college either. Like, I think it just depends on your goals and what you want to do in life, and also your temperament, your maturity, and how you feel about certain things. But I do think the experience of being away from home in college far trumps, just the education in general of going to, a school local by your house. Like, you'll get the same education, but will you have the same experience of living on your own and figuring out stuff and figuring out life on your own?
That's good game. And, and in your give back, I just also want to know, have you, started writing your book, or do you have or planned your podcast so people can get more game from you? So the more you grow, they can grow with you.
Yeah, I think I am going to write a book. I've had a few folks reach out to me, publishers reach out to me, but the time's not right yet. I need to accomplish a little bit more, but I've been jotting. I journal often, and I write a lot. So I have a lot of stories to tell, but I have a podcast that I haven't done a lot on. It's called the To Comply or Not to Comply podcast, with a cybersecurity company called Hacker Valley Studio, that I'll send you the link, Kellen. And I plan to talk more raw on there and just, talk directly versus like interviewing folks and having those type of conversations. So they can find them more there, but I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I would say I speak my mind there. I talk a lot about mental health on LinkedIn. I talk a lot about the journey of being a Black founder, and then obviously all the cybersecurity and SOC 2 stuff that I do. But I'm pretty raw there, and I plan to be, as I finish up this current round of funding and get some more time on my hands, I plan to be even more public and out there talking about things. So I would say follow me on LinkedIn, follow me on Twitter, at AJ Yawn, to kind of stay in contact with me and learn more.
Do you ever get, nervous, with the To Comply or Not Comply podcast? You guys check that out on iTunes. That's where most of you will hear this, at least right now. That's where the numbers come from. But do you ever get nervous as a Black founder and be like, oh, did I give it to him too raw? I mean, that was straight out of Oceanside for real. Like, that was that. I mean, do you ever worry about that? Because, sometimes, and a lot of people get caught up in this, hey, man, one person is using the other, the rich use the poor, the wealthy use them all. But do you ever get, concerned about, oh, I gave it too raw?
Yeah, I think your mic muted a little bit during there, but I heard most of it. I used to. I think when I first started Bytechek, I was like, man, I can't say that, or I can't go that hard. And then I realized that, like, the whole point of me doing this is being me. And I realized the more that I am myself, the more investors resonate with me, the more customers resonate with me, the more potential employees, current employees resonate with me by me just being me. And I think the times that I felt the worst on this journey is when I try to hold back, and I try to play the buttoned up CEO role. And that's just not, I just can't do it. I just tried. I've done it. I played the corporate games. I was in the Army, so I played that game as well. And now in this phase of my life, I'm like, I'm going to be me, and the people that appreciate it, they're going to be on the team, and the people that aren't. And it's easy to separate. I don't have a lot of fake people around me because of how raw I am, and they know I'm going to tell the truth. So no, I would say it's been a growth journey for me to get this comfortable and stop caring about things. But I think a lot of times people take themselves too seriously and think that so many people are watching, or so many people are going to say, oh, wow, he said this, I'm never doing business with them. Where, yeah, I learned most people aren't even watching. Most people aren't even paying attention to me, that I think I'd be offending or whatever. But I just try to be as real and be myself. And sometimes that means I say a little bit much, I go a little hard, but I've never regretted, being me. And I don't think I ever will.
Okay. And the way the world has shifted, because I say everything that was once wrong is now okay, and we're supposed to applaud it. But it seems like the more crazier you talk, Kanye West, the more you can get, the more people, want to, hey. So it's like, what do we need? Do we all have to kind of be, just explore out whatever the first thing on our mind, which, I'm not going to do that. But I love it. I love the realness. I want people to check you out. Let the people know where they can follow you and give them any last words.
Yeah, I mean, follow me on Twitter, on LinkedIn at AJ Yawn. Yawn like when you're sleepy. Also check out the company website, bytechek.com, bytechek.com is where you can find all things cybersecurity, SOC 2, all the fun, unsexy stuff that we're doing over here. And my last piece of advice would be, there's no amount of success, there's no amount of glory, clout, et cetera, that's more important than your mental health. And I encourage anyone and whatever you're doing to make sure you're doing things to protect your mental health. Meditate, go to therapy, especially Black men. Like, don't be scared to go to therapy. Don't be scared to go talk to someone. It's okay to be sad as a Black man. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to have emotions. You're a complex human, just like everyone else in this world. And I truly don't believe there's anything else in your life that is more important than what's in between your eyes. And making sure that you are okay inside and your mental health is okay. And if you take care of your mental health, if you take that time for yourself, if you focus on your own internal happiness, everything else in life works out. Everything in life gets a lot better the more you turn inward and focus on yourself, and you're able to do a lot more as well. There's no reason to burn yourself out, to drive yourself crazy to pursue a goal, because then when you get to the goal, you're not going to be able to enjoy it, because you're not going to be healthy, and you're going to be someone that has just run themselves thin and into the ground. So protect your mental health. I can't do a speaking engagement without bringing it up. I think it's so important, especially in our community, especially for Black men, to be open and honest about the things that they have going on. Talk to people about it, whether that's your friends, whether that's your spouse, whoever it is. But no, don't hold emotions in. It doesn't help anyone.
Amen. Amen. And I think therapy now too, for those of you who struggle to click the button and make a schedule, is the new stunt. It's to be like, hey, man, I got my therapist. So you got a therapist? Oh, man, and it's like, yeah, you can pay for it, sometimes on your HSA card and all that, and insurance, thank God we have that, because in some countries, I talk about Africa a lot, that's not an option. And it's needed, especially in places like Kenya, where men are killing themselves more and more. You know why? The BBC, the guy said, why, AJ? He said, because our wives don't listen to us anymore because we can't beat them. Said, oh, man. Well, I said, I got a whole business over there I can go do. So, we can talk about that, you guys, on another episode. But you guys have been blessed by some good game. Make sure you check out the links in the description, whether you are listening or watching, and share this with somebody. It will change their life. Y'all be blessed.
Hey family, on November 20th through December 1st, 2022, we will have the all-inclusive Kenya trip. Now, a lot of times people have said, hey, Phil, when's the next trip we'd like to go? I want to see Africa for myself, but this is the time to go. Everything will be taken care of. All excursions are paid. You can do monthly payments. They'll have safari and a 6-city tour. You will see Charlie Island, which is something that we did not see last time on the tour. This tour will be 12 days instead of 7 days. So make sure to secure your place on the trip by going to www.wbsvs.com, make your deposit, and then you can start making your payments, and we'll see you in Kenya.
Hi guys, I'm Kai Gabiam from the Diaspora channel, a lover of Africa. If you love Africa as well and you would love to visit one day or to relocate to Africa, there is a course out there for you. And this course is My First Trip to Africa, a course well put together by a seasoned traveler, Kellen Cash Coleman. This course is designed to prepare you to travel better, which will save you both time and money. And the great news is this course costs only $20, guys. It can't get any better. Go right now and enroll to this course at www.diversifygame.com.